My parents loved having a big family. They really enjoyed welcoming others into their home. And I just remember as a daughter noticing how much my mom really did enjoy being a mom. And so that really was very influential to me. And so I grew up and went to college and, met my future husband there, and we got married and settled down and started having our own kids. We got married 15 years ago here in Louisville, actually. And but we lived in Atlanta, so we came back for the wedding since I'm from here. And so we had 3 kids right away, 2011, 2012. The first 2 are 15 months apart. And then our son, George, the end of 2014. And I remember when I was pregnant with George thinking like, oh boy, like, here we go, we're going to have a lot of kids and, a little nervous and also very excited, very much wanted to have that big family that I grew up with. And our story really took a change in 2017. We had our first miscarriage. We lost our daughter, Mary Agnes. I was about 12 weeks along. It was a shock, a surprise. All my other pregnancies had been healthy. But I was told by the doctors that this was very common. 1 in 4 miscarry, and, they couldn't find anything wrong. And this, that happens. And so then we got pregnant with our son, Benedict Peter, little Ben. And he passed away at about 17, maybe when he was 15. He was 15 weeks along. And that was a horrible shock. We were not expecting it. All the ultrasounds, everything had been fine. And I went in for an ultrasound and he had passed away. He was old enough for us for me to give birth to him and to hold him. We have his footprints and handprints and pictures of him. And so that was a devastating experience. It was tremendous shock, 2 in a row. And then 2 years later, in the midst of COVID, I got pregnant with our daughter, Joan Margaret, whom we named Joanie. We nicknamed Joanie. And another beautiful blessing, tested everything. Everything looks great. Everything's good. My husband wasn't allowed to a single ultrasound with me. And I went in for everything checked out great. And I went in for my 18-week scan. They had bumped up my 20 to be an 18-week because of my history. And I was at a high-risk OB here in Louisville. And I will never forget that experience. So I'm there alone. It's COVID. My husband wasn't even allowed in the building. At the time, our other kids were still too young to be home, by themselves. So he stayed home with them. And I went into this high-risk appointment and they didn't even have to tell me. I knew. I already knew the signs. I could read the tech's face. I knew. I said, oh my gosh, he's dead. I just blurted that out. And the tech ran out of the room, got the doctor who came in, and I was crying a lot. He offered me, a bottle of water, and I just kept crying. And initially he kind of comforted me. And then after I didn't stop crying right away, this high-risk OB said to me, well, this baby probably had something wrong with him anyway, so it's probably better that he or she died.
Gosh.
And I was just overcome with grief. I couldn't even think straight. I was in a complete and total shock by myself, 3rd in a row, each time further along. And, later I reflected a lot on that experience, and not just his lackluster bedside manner, but just the message that we give to women and the message we tell them about not only their baby, but also their body. So if a baby is not someone we recognize, if a preborn baby isn't someone we can recognize and mourn for, at a high-risk OB's office, no less. I mean, come on. Like, he's got to have patients like that multiple times a day.
Yeah.
And I thought, if you don't understand the value of the child, you don't understand the value of the loss that's here, the significance of the loss. Mm-hmm. And you also don't understand the gift that made this even possible. You don't understand my fertility. Yeah. You don't understand women. You don't get us. You really don't care. You see our fertility as a problem to fix. And when a baby has a problem, get rid of the baby, right? When a woman's body when a woman is, going to be fertile and doesn't want to be fertile, take a pill, get rid of it, right? Like the body is a problem to fix, whether it's in the woman or the baby or the father, right? And so it's a natural consequence that we get to that point. So that just made this huge impact on me. I just felt like, wow, I've always been pro-life. I always knew abortion was bad for women and for babies and for fathers and for all of society. But oh my goodness, it's impacting every cell of our care, of our society. And now these doctors who are trained to be high risk OBs, labor and delivery. I mean,
you'd think they have a little bit more compassion.
Right. Yeah. I thought it's completely erased compassion, right? And the New York Times had an article on this recently, that we have less compassion for women in crisis pregnancies. And I wasn't in a crisis pregnancy, but we have less compassion for them because society thinks, oh, you could have taken care of it and you didn't. So, yeah, that had just a huge impact on me and how I looked at this issue. Fast forward to last summer. Unfortunately, my husband and I lost another child. We had a little girl, Joy, whom we named Joy, from the verse, I'm blanking on the verse now, you will have, no one will take your joy from you. There will be no more sorrow. And we meditated a lot on that verse for those few weeks that we had her. So our little daughter, Joy, passed away at around 8 weeks last summer. So it's been a really interesting journey for me, because what I have noticed in this work is that the abortion movement doesn't fear babies. Their goal is not to get rid of babies. Their goal is to equalize the playing field between men and women, to actually get rid of women, to get rid of gender differences. That's the goal. That's why they're so in love with IVF. I mean, look at all the pro-IVF stuff out there, right? They need more for their movement, right? So the problem isn't the baby for them. The problem is the woman's fertility. And they understand that if we can get rid of that, if we can teach women to see that as a problem, see that as something to manipulate, see that as something to control, see that as something to fear, then we can really direct how this plays out. And that's what we see.